I'm a pessimist.
Really?
I need to think that this is going to be a good year.
Dude, I'm an optimist.
It's going to be a roller coaster year.
I got told this morning, are you sure we're going to hit, like, is this going to be a good year? I said, yeah, it's going to be a good year. We got these systems in place. All right. We, know what goals we're going to hit. I was like, I'm not going home till we hit these goals. So I'm working, all day. Welcome on in, everybody, to the Keys and Credit Podcast. I am your host, Ethan Rebuck, with Brian Winkler as well hosting, and we are just excited for the new year. Excited to be helping all of you home buyers out there, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you're a new person navigating that market after being in your house for some time. So let's get right into what everyone's missed out on. So Brian, obviously we started this podcast towards the end of the year. So let's go back and let's look at 2024 as a whole.
Well, from what I understand, 2024 was the worst year since 1995.
Yes.
And it's now 2025, and we survived.
Yes.
So I'm super pumped for this year. I think this year is going to be, when it comes to projecting what I think the market's going to look like, usually I'm the pessimist, but for the first time in a few years, I'm really excited. I think this year is going to be, it's going to be record-breaking, to be honest with you. I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we've had a lot of different things shake up on a worldly standpoint and everything. I feel like that's the best way I can put it.
Sounds like our country's going to
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think that interest rates are going to come down right away like people think. I think it's going to take more time. But I think that people are going to feel more comfortable in what they're doing, making those decisions to, buy and sell. It's almost like we've been waiting, right? And nothing's changed. So, over the last 4 or 5 years, like interest rates have been where they are at. They're not going anywhere, at least for the immediate future as we see it. So get on the horse and ride. Let's go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, rates-wise, I think, we're still in the 7%-ish range. We maybe will see 6, maybe.
Yes.
That would be most likely the best thing that would happen. Now, I agree. I think now that we know what things are going to look like moving forward, I think we're going to have a lot of people, regardless of rate, finally sell their house. So you sellers out there, let's get going. We need inventory bad because we got lots of buyers.
Yes.
Just they don't have enough houses for them to buy.
Correct. And especially as we move into these spring markets, it's going to be wildness, I think. Spring and summer, I think, are going to be super hot. I'm already seeing, post-election and post all the holiday times, things really start to get rolling. Yep. A lot of first-time buyers reaching out, getting that game plan set in place, looking to buy in the spring or summer. So awesome. So as far as Pursuit Lending goes, right, let's hear about how your guys' year went and everything you guys did over there.
We actually had a really good year. As a branch, we helped over 200 families this year, which that was actually more than 2023 and right in line with 22. Now, 2020 and 2021 were record-breaking. Everybody had great years those years. You
can't talk about
stumble into the business and do well those 2 years. But 22, 23, 24, really, really tough. But our numbers are right where we want them. And again, we've prepared for a big 2025, so we're ready. And we're a week into the year so far. I think I know what a lot of people's New Year's resolutions were, and that was to buy a house because it's been nonstop phone calls.
Yeah.
So really excited for this year.
Awesome.
What about you?
So I ended up hitting 26 homes this year.
Awesome.
So we were at to work with, I can't even remember the breakdown of buyers and sellers, but I believe it was like a 10 to 16 split with 10 sellers, 16 buyers, and just super blessed for it to be my first full year. Sure. And to be able to take care of those people. Excited for this year ahead, getting those systems in place in these months. It's not really slow. I mean, January, I've had 3 closings, so it'll be awesome. But, getting those systems in place that makes it easier for buyers, sellers, frees up my time, and able to just make the process smoother and better. I think, even being in the business as long as you have, every year it's a recount of how can I make this better. And we can't be stagnant in what we're doing.
You better have goals.
Yeah.
You better have goals, short term, long term. Now, so that's a question for you. 16 one side, 10 the other. Is the goal to keep those as close to each other, or do you want to be more buyer side or more seller side? What's that look like?
I don't know. I mean,
I know you're still newish to the business,
right.
so do you care? But I mean, is it on your side? Is even a veteran agent would they say, "I'm trying to keep them the same,"
correct,
or am I trying to do more of this and more of that?
And a veteran agent might even say they want more listings, just because some may say they can be easier. It's hard for me to pick. I like listings because it allows me to be pretty creative with what I can do. There's still relief there in the end because, if you go above and beyond and get that, good price for that seller or so forth. But there is something satisfying about just helping a first-time home buyer navigating that process. Typically, you see more referrals off of that, I think. And so, I'm just going to let whatever happens.
Well, that's a great answer. But.
It's, hey, come on, so, but, I really love to do the things on the marketing side with the videos on those listings and so forth, but nothing beats a first-time home buyer. If I could just help first-time home buyers and, they all knew what they wanted and they all were pre-approved, it would be great, I could just sit back and
they had a house to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that is a hard part right now.
And we talked about it, I think, in the first podcast. At some point, the first-time home buyer building your business off of those.
Yes.
Because I did. I can't tell you how many first-time home buyers I did in 2009, 2010, 11.
Yes.
That I just did their third or fourth house.
Right.
They keep coming back. You take care of your clients, they're going to keep coming back. So building your business off of first-time home buyers, no matter how long you've been in the business, is super, super smart. So, no, I just didn't know. Because I see numbers from agents sometimes, and some of them, 90% is buy-side stuff and 10% sell.
Correct.
And it's vice versa. In our world, we can do refinances and we can do purchases, but we always look at refis as like a bonus paycheck. That's not something that we always, no matter when rates do come down, we're going to get super busy with lots and lots of refis. But number one is our agents and our buyers. That's always going to be number one. So I didn't know if on your side it was something similar. Because the markets are going to swing too. It's going to be easier to become a buyer's agent at some point because it's going to be a buyer's market, and now it's a seller's market. So I didn't know how that looked.
So as far as it goes for pipeline, and because that's how we look at things, I believe we're at 4 sellers for the spring. So like sellers are ready to go for the spring. And as far as you look at the breakdown right now, it's more heavier on the buyer side as far as my pipeline goes for people looking in the near future. But it's cool to see that strong push of sellers in the springtime, because most of my sellers came towards the end of the year last year. And granted, it was my first full year. But it was towards the summertime in that factor. So when we go into this new year, right, you have your goals as your branch and what you guys are going to hit. What are some of the things that you're implementing now and have implemented to, reach those goals?
So staff is a big thing. In our world, I do the pre-approval, help the client find the house along with the agent, make sure the numbers look right, they make their offer. Once their offer is accepted, then I hand the file basically over to my processing team. Tara and Brittany, they're the best in the business. I don't go anywhere. I'm still the main contact for the client, but they process the file. They're local in our office here in Canton. So making sure that we've got enough people right now to probably close 50, 60 deals a month right now, which would be really, really. So we've beefed that up to make sure. We've got other staff and things like that. So we've kind of beefed that up for what we're thinking is going to be a big year. So that's really the biggest thing. Outside of that, right now, knowing what's kind of going on in the market, knowing who's doing what and where to strike. Like we're trying to we'd like to add a couple loan officers this year. Right now seems to be the time to really get out there because a lot of things are changing, especially on our side. So we need to do that. We're trying to figure out with corporate help, how do we attract loan officers? Always looking to add more agents, but
right.
again, Mike and I, between the two of us, we've been around for 45 years now. If you add our so we pretty much know everybody. So that's pretty much it. The biggest thing, though, gearing up for the business, is the last thing we want to do is get busy and drop the ball on something.
All right, guys, we are on our sponsorship break. We don't have any sponsors yet, but it is a new year, and me and Brian Winkler with Pursuit Lending Group would love to help you purchase your new home. And what better people to do it with than the people that you're getting the education from every single week. Also, we would love a sponsorship, so someone give us money.
Yeah, we're the #1 Canton real estate podcast, right?
That's right.
Let's go.
Come on, guys. I think one of the biggest things that I see in that parallel, what you just talked about between real estate and the loan industry, is the recruiting push. So let me know, one of the big things is for other agents to bring on other agents because they make commission off of that agent, or maybe it's a flat fee or so forth, depending on what brokerage you're at.
Sure.
Do you have the same thing in the loan officer field? Does it depend on where you're at?
Yes and no. More so signing bonus.
Okay.
Our big thing is depending on your production, what kind of bonus you're going to get just to come work for us. After that, it's just you're going to make this, and the branch makes what the branch makes. That really doesn't change. It's going to, for the most part. Again, I suppose you could change it. Perfect world, LO makes this much, loan officer makes this much, the branch makes what they make. So our thing is when we left when we made Pursuit, or went to GVC Mortgage as our parent company.
Yeah.
There were bonus structures all over the place. I mean, it was insane. But you can't look at, if you go to the wrong place just because of a one-time thing, you're going to wind up kicking yourself. But it's not as complicated as I don't think as.
What about other loan officers? Like if another loan officer on your team or under your branch were to bring on another loan officer, recruit them in, would they get residuals off of them? I mean, that's how it works in real estate.
Yeah.
If you bring on another agent, you will make, say they sell this house, it could be 0.03%. I believe that's EXP's numbers. Don't quote me on that. I was there for some time. But 0.03% off of each house sale.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
Okay.
It depends on who they're bringing. If they're bringing a $50 million producer, then we can figure something out. And if they're bringing someone that's relatively new, they're going to need to be trained. Now, we do that as well. We have an experienced loan officer that does help train new LOs. And if that new LO writes something, that seasoned agent's going to make something off of that. So it just depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of similar, but not as complex.
Not nearly as complex, though.
We like to get all messy over here in the real estate agent world.
You guys are 1099 where we're not allowed to be. We're W-2, so it's you have a lot more flexibility in certain things than we do. We don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good question, though.
So, but yeah, that was, the whole year at a glance, I guess. It was a great year, although one of the worst year for loan officers in real estate, the whole real estate market in general. And so, I just think that, we're grateful to be here and grateful to have the viewers out here to watch us. Hopefully they're still here. And all right, we're going to be rolling into a new segment, and it's going to be Craziness of the Week. All right, so I'm excited for this. Really we do these over a 2-week span, so it's 2 weeks altogether. But boy, do I have a story for today. So
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
So yesterday, and that's, we can say week, but it was yesterday, I got a text that the light in the rental house in Alliance, I have a rental house in Alliance, the light in the bathroom upstairs went out.
Okay.
And the panel downstairs, no breakers were flipped.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, all right, well, I can be over there in the evening. So I go over there, and first thing I do is I'm going to go to the attic and check the, because the box is exposed up there for the fan and light. And I go up there, and I open the door to the attic, and there's, stuff everywhere. And the attic, the tenant everyone up there is stuff from old tenants. So it's just, and it's a finished attic, stuff everywhere, tore up. Okay, all right. So I go up and, man, what are they doing? They up here making a mess. So I go over to the side, and I'm in this little crawl space looking at this, fan spot. Mounds of turds on on the light fan. And I'm like, what? I show you a picture. It was covering it. I'm like, what did I get myself into over here? So I'm instantly like, I thought it was a cat at first. So these windows were open, so I shut the windows. I actually put screws in them so they can't be opened anymore. Little pro tip for anyone out there who's...
Did you trap whatever was in?
Yes, apparently. All right. So I get out of there. I didn't hear anything. So I thought they had just left. I was like, oh, it's gone, you know. So I go downstairs and I call the usual suspects. I'm calling, like, you know, people who I think would have a solution for this. I finally just call my exterminator. I'm like, look, I got turds up here on this fan. The electrical's not working. I was like, can you come clean up the poop? Like, you know, I called it feces, but he was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, and I don't think there's anything up there, but can you like check and like close it off? And this morning, I get a text at 7 a.m. Says they heard noise up there again. And the door was open, so I had to shut the door. It didn't get out, but it's a raccoon in the attic.
And it was up there when you were out crawling around.
Yes.
And it's mean, man. They can be real mean.
Still alive, yeah. I mean, so the exterminator went up there, put up a live bait today. It's getting dealt with. It's an expensive problem, but yeah, I could have died yesterday, like got rabies or something.
Got rabies, yeah.
Oh my gosh! So apparently, the exterminator said that raccoons will go in the attics to have babies.
Oh,
so that's when it's like apparently when they're ready to have babies, they go in the attics.
Okay.
So watch out. And with the problem is there was a little bit of soffit pulled back. My tenant didn't know what soffit was, so I had to explain it to her. So it's basically, for everyone out there, your roof, there's ventilation right under your roof at the ridge. The air goes in and it circulates because the roof is like I don't know, it's like a heart almost. Yeah. You know, needs air and oxygen. So there was like a little piece shoved out. So I like ran up in there. So pro tip of the day for all of our viewers out there, if you have a house, you need to walk around that house and check to make sure that you have no exposing ports. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a raccoon in your attic
all over your house,
tearing up wires and whatnot. I mean, it's like $1,000 fix. I gotta get the exterminator out there. I gotta get the electrician out there. I gotta get the roofing guy out there. It's like,
well, great. When I can't sleep tonight, when I hear
I know, right?
raccoons above my head. So thanks.
Well, they said, oh yeah, we thought it was a ghost. I'm like, what kind of ghost? What are you?
Well, I don't have anything to say to that. I got no stories that tap that one.
Dude, I had to hold it in, like, oh, you know. I called everyone. I told them, you know, and I sent them the pictures. I'm like, life of a homeowner. I'm like, this is horrible.
I'm a homeowner too. I haven't dealt with that one.
It just must be older houses. I don't know. I need to call the neighbor guy and be like, watch out for a raccoon running around.
They're looking for a house.
Yeah, there you go. So that's my craziness of the week.
That sucks.
It sucked, but it happens.
You fix the problem. It should not be back.
It's a problem. And now if a client ever needs help with a raccoon in their attic, they give me a call.
You can go up there and crawl around.
I have a game plan. You know, I got it all staged out. I'm putting it in my buyer's guides, you know. First, you go up there, you inspect the poop, you take a picture, you send it to the exterminator, get the exterminator out there, and then you're just down the line.
Make sure it doesn't attack you.
Right.
Don't pin it into your house.
Absolutely, yeah. I was right. I'm deathly scared of like rodents, animals, like things like that. I don't mess around with them. Like some people have raccoons as pets. Like I like dogs. Cats are cool sometimes when they're not like hissing at you and everything. But you know, my extent as far as like when I'm gonna touch, like I'm a big guy, but I'm a little girl when it comes to little rodents and whatnot. You throw some rats at me, I might be running and screaming.
Yeah, they don't bother me. Bees and wasps, that's what bothers me.
You could have a raccoon as a pet.
Well, if it's domesticated, sure. I would.
Really?
I wouldn't have one, but I got my dogs. That's as far as I go. But
you guys heard it here first. Brian Winkler wants a raccoon for Christmas next year.
Sure.
I've seen some with a raccoon. I couldn't believe it.
I've had clients that have pet raccoons. What was it? Someone had something strange. It wasn't a beaver, but it was something along those
chipmunk
lines.
or no.
Somebody had a squirrel. I've had someone with a pet squirrel.
Ferret.
Raccoon.
Man, ferrets are ugly.
They're ugly and they stink.
Ugh.
But I cannot remember what it was. She had something off the wall strange.
So while we're on this tangent real quick, I have another story of an animal. And we're just,
Bring it on,
if you're new to this podcast, you'll realize that it's supposed to be about real estate. And yeah, every story is going to involve a little bit of real estate. But we're going to go on a lot of tangents.
Sure.
We're going to talk about politics and all that. So I never knew what a Mancoon cat was. You know what a Mancoon cat is? All right. So I walk in this house showing it for another agent. And there's all these cats. I mean, loads of them. And I grew up around dogs. I don't mind cats. But man, you throw me in a room of cats, I'm like, well, this is interesting. So then I see this one dude. It is ginormous. Mancoon cats, they're like little 12-year-olds.
How much does it weigh?
Probably 100 pounds.
What?
I might be exaggerating here, but I'm telling you, these things are like 4 times what a regular cat is.
All right.
Dude, it's insane.
So like bigger than a bobcat. Bobcats are like 30, 40 pounds.
Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit.
But clearly clueless.
Well, I'm clueless on weight when it comes to that, but I would say I feel like they could be the size a little bit bigger than a bobcat.
Wow. All right.
But it's like a cat, and it looks so scary, man.
Well, they're all scary. They're all.
I know, dude. I don't feel like I'm gonna get chewed apart.
Yeah, cats. No offense, everybody's got cats, but they're evil little creatures.
And they smell. They're horrible for selling a house.
They are.
I mean, any animal is not great for selling a house, but those cats, they smell it up.
A Mancoon cat.
Mancoon cat. When we get off this,
yeah, I'm going to have to look that up
today. I don't know if we have these editing capabilities, but if we could throw up like a Mancoon cat just on the screen, like I don't know if I could hold it right here. That'd be the thumbnail. It'd just be like, jeez.
That's funny.
So that's my story. That's my animal stories. I'm sure I will have more to add to them because I'm just deathly terrified of them.
I don't know how to segue into anything else after that.
I don't know. I think we need to take another short break. Then we're going to talk about politics a little bit, probably.
So we can do that.
Do you want to just get right into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So what's going on in the news? All right. Trump, obviously the day it is today, he got inauguration was yesterday?
Monday, yeah.
Or Monday, yeah, Monday. So
there's certification.
Whatever.
Man.
Crazy politics. Yeah. It doesn't matter. So Trump's been putting out all these videos. He wants to buy some real estate. He wants to buy up Greenland. He wants to buy up Panama Canal, yep. Panama, America, yep. Yeah. And also Canada. So we got a real estate guy in our books, and I think that I'm going to send him a message and say Brian Winkler can help you finance that.
Yeah. He better not overinflate his values of some of his properties or else he's going to be in trouble. Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. I'm sure the people that think he's a dictator, is going to take over the world, like this is the beginning. He's going to take over Canada. And clearly, a lot of this, Trump is half comedian. I mean, he says funny things. I don't know if we've ever had a president who's funny. Now, the Greenland thing, I think he's serious about. The Panama Canal thing, I think he's serious about. Those are.
But the thing with Greenland is, like, they're, I don't know what he is. Oh, we'll call him our president. Came out and said, like, oh, we're looking at other avenues. Like, our economy's down. So, if granted, I don't care who's in power. If it's a Democrat, if it's a Republican. If you're looking for an economic, standpoint to become a greater country, what other country are you going to go to? Of course you're going to go to America. So if we're going to bring them into our economy, which runs the world, we run all of Europe with it, that would be the smartest decision. Panama, more trade.
I think, in my opinion, the Panama Canal is a little more important. But
for trade.
Yeah. Greenland, I think, is owned by Denmark.
I believe, correct.
Right? And their president said they're not for sale, whatever. But again, these are one of those things where you got to take whoever's word for it. And who's lied to me for the last 10 years and who hasn't? If he's claiming that it's better for our security, then at this point, I don't know. I have no idea.
If he can do it, I'm just sitting back. I'm
just-
saying, all right.
It's just things that I've never thought I'd hear. Like, we're going to go buy Greenland. Oh, okay. let's go.
It's like we're back in the 1800s.
It's
you know?
crazy. Yeah, we're gonna take over Canada.
Yeah.
That I don't think is going to happen. I think
51st
he's just
state.
screwing with the prime minister with that one, but maybe.
You know what I think this is a good segue into is negotiation tactics in real estate. Because, what do we do sometimes to just kind of ruffle some feathers, and stir stuff up so that we have some leverage in some different areas. Sometimes I say stuff just for the, heck of it. Whether, I get an agent calling in like, oh, okay, we're about to write or whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, we got, 5 more showings this week. If you want us to accept that offer, make it look good.
Yeah.
So there's tactics we use, and they're risky, nothing that he is doing it does not come with its share of risk, because you have your greatest ally, to our north. Denmark and Panama Canal, I don't think are as much of a worry, but, regardless of Canada's military, they're a huge country and they're one of our biggest as far as exports go and trade. But it's a tactic. I think he is smart with it. I hold back from saying anything.
Yeah. He wrote Art of the Deal, right? I mean, isn't like
Yeah.
that's why he's who he is.
Right.
So if we need somebody to negotiate something, okay, I'm good with him negotiating again.
Yeah.
But as far as negotiating in our world, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
I could tell you what the client needs,
Yeah.
and then you can spend that however
Concessions.
you need to do it. Yeah, concessions or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
so I don't get to negotiate much. I
Yeah.
get to negotiate when we're talking partnerships with agents,
Yes.
or we're talking loan officers coming in, or when we were deciding what mortgage company we were going to go with.
Right.
That alone was 4 months of negotiating every single day with. I think we talked to 17 different mortgage companies, so got pretty schooled on negotiating tactics for that. But as everyday real world stuff, I can tell you what you might want to do
Yeah.
for a client, but I can't negotiate that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice sometimes.
Sometimes negotiation is just throwing it on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Some people they say another word, but it's throwing crap on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so
Stuff that was in your attic the other day.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh! So if I can get 6% concessions, great. If you want to watch though, and I tell all buyers this, you want to watch because that seller always has the right to be so mad at what you give to them that they don't want to talk to you. So I always preface that.
Now this brings up something. When I bought my last house, the way I did it with concessions, let's just say it was $200,000. The way I look at it, and I don't think I've met an agent yet that agrees with me on this, but the way I look at it is I negotiated with the seller, and we came to a price. Let's call it $200,000.
Okay.
But I wanted that seller to pay $3,000 towards my cost. So my thinking is figure out what the seller wants to walk with. So now I know it's $200,000. Then I just go back to that seller and say, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll buy it for $203,000 and you pay $3,000 towards my cost. You can't say no because he's still clearing the two. But every agent that I say, that's how I personally do it. Now I don't do that for a living because that's not my job. Like, no, you don't want to do it that way. Like, why not? Like, I guess in your world, though, when you make an offer, that's the offer.
Yeah.
I guess mine was more, I knew the seller. I kind of knew the seller. It was, I don't know. But it just made it simple for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How I've dealt with concessions this last year is like when we wanted 6% or 3%, I instantly ask for that unless we're like negotiating. So typically I ask for those concessions, all right, and then either we win them or we don't. And I play hardball, honestly.
Good.
Like I'll just tell them to stand firm. If I know there's going to be no action in it, stand firm. When it comes to a house that's like new on the market and we looked at that first weekend, we're going to put an offer in. And they want, oh yeah, I'd love to get you 3% concessions or 6%. I might throw it there ultimately to that agent. I know 9 times out of 10 they're going to come back and they're going to say we want it brought up to cover that. So say we have a house at $200,000 and we get 3% concessions, what, 6,000. We're most likely to have to bring up the purchase price to 206 to cover to finance that, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it happens whenever it's not, or whenever it's kind of more competitive, or the house hasn't been on the market long. Because I tell the buyers, like, if you want to wait, then we might be able to get them all covered. But if you don't want to wait on this house, that's what I would recommend as a list agent.
Okay. Yeah, I just look at when I talk to my clients about, one of their big questions is, what's my rate and what am I bringing to closing? I could just say it's 15 grand.
Correct.
But I break it all down, and I try to make it as easy on the client as possible. I tell them it's three things. It's your down payment, which is this much, your closing costs, which are this much, and the third thing is you always have to pay your home insurance a year in advance. So
correct.
Those three things. So I break it down. So I guess that's probably why I look at it that way. I'm just breaking it down to the seller. I want to figure out what that seller's willing to walk with, and then I'll go back and put them in a position you can't say no, because you're still making the same thing we just agreed to. So that's just in my brain. So I guess I would not be a very good real estate agent, because I would do it backwards.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, because I feel like we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing. It's just
I dumb it down.
Yeah.
Like if it's a seller, like there was not a real estate agent involved in that transaction. So my thinking was, well, let's see what this guy wants to sell his house for. And then I'll add that, because it's simple. Now, if I went to him as a 203 with you paying 3, if I was the seller, I'm like, why the hell would I pay you $3,000 of your cost?
Yeah.
So that's just how I do it. I'm not saying that's how you should do it. It's just, I'm always curious, because I've always explained it that way to these agents, and they look at me like, no, that's not how we do that.
It's just doing it like, it's doing it a little backwards. Yeah, but the only downside to a seller on that is if it doesn't appraise at 203.
100%.
Yeah. That's that. But typically, like, I didn't have an issue with that last year. I'm not sure how many appraisal issues you had last year.
We haven't had
one.
We haven't had hardly any. You're always going to have a few.
You always have a few. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 200 and some odd transactions. You're going to have an issue from but very, very small percentage.
Right.
Because we get to not pick our own appraisals by law. Yeah. We have our own appraisal desk, which means after 20-some years of vetting local appraisers, we get to pick the appraisers that go in that pool. So we don't know exactly which one's going to do this deal, but we know it's going to be one of those appraisers, which we're very comfortable with. And not that they do anything illegal, but they're not looking over their shoulder. They're not scared. So they're going to put a true value on there, where some of these places that have to use management companies, those appraisers know the only way they're going to stop getting orders from that easy money management company is if they're overinflating. So what happens is they do the opposite, and you start getting the $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 low appraisals, and really the value's there. They just don't want to push it because they don't want to stop losing easy $500. Which again, when we were deciding where we were going to go, that was one of our key things, is to make sure we weren't dealing with management companies, because they can be a nightmare. So we don't see near the low appraisals that a lot of places do.
Okay.
That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it, with some national banks and whatnot, it being more of an issue. Yeah. Which I'm assuming they're using a lot of those management companies.
I think by law, and don't quote me on this, I think by law the banks have to.
Okay.
And the bigger mortgage companies are just so big.
Right.
They can't have 4 appraisers in every county in every state, that they're just not going to track them down. So you got to use management companies. So that makes total sense. But we didn't want to mess with that.
Now, Cross Country's in-house? That's what I've heard.
I believe they have a management company. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't work for Cross Country.
Okay. I heard I from what I was told, they were in-house. Like in-house appraisers.
I don't believe so.
Okay. I don't know. It might be some sort of, I heard that from a KW agent. So, anyways, when it comes down to it, I just dealt with something with a first-time home buyer asking about taxes on a house, right? And they got that credit in their, closing disclosures.
Yeah.
So let's break that down real quick. When you're looking at that closing disclosure, you're seeing all those numbers. What are some things that they need to hone in on?
What they hone in on generally is the rate what Brian told me it was going to be.
Yeah.
And is the cash I'm bringing to closing what Brian told me it's going to be. That's on the first page. The second page, their eyes go crossed and they don't know what the hell they're looking at. But that second and third page, it breaks everything down. And so I think 86 of the 88 counties in Ohio, we do taxes backward. So that bill that's coming out next month is for the first half of last year, 2024.
Right.
So if I'm closing on a house today, that tax bill that needs paid is for a time period that I didn't own the house. Right. So generally what happens, right now it's either one of the two things. Either A, the title company is going to put that first half tax bill on my side, the buyer's side. But again, that means I'm paying that tax bill and the one in July. So I'm paying all of 2024's taxes are on me, but I didn't own the house in 2024. So what's going to happen at closing is the seller is going to have to give a tax credit from last January 1st through the day you close. So over 12 months worth of taxes. So it's going to cancel that back out. They're basically saying you're going to pay the taxes, but we'll reimburse you at closing. It's pretty much what it looks like. So it's either first half tax bill buyer pays with a 12-plus month credit of taxes, or that first half tax bill is paid by the seller at closing.
Yeah.
But then you're on the hook for the second half tax bill. So that tax credit is going to be taxes from July 1st of 2024 through closing. So you may be paying, it's all, you break even at the end. And that's why I tell my clients up front, you're bringing those three things to closing. They're bringing more than that. You're bringing money to put in escrow, there's per diem and all these things.
Yeah.
But if you look at your bottom line number with the tax credit at the end and your bottom line number at the beginning of just those three things, down payment, closing costs, and insurance, they're almost always, if anything, I'm usually a little high at the beginning than at the end.
Right.
Which is the goal. We don't want to overpromise. Always under-promise, over-deliver.
Under-promise, over-deliver.
Because that's what those two things that client's going to look at. Interest rate and what am I bringing? Brian, I'm bringing $1,000 more. What happened?
Right.
Well, you had a home warranty you didn't tell me about, and, your insurance was super expensive. But generally, but the tax credit is goofy. We do things a little backwards in Ohio. And that's what that tax credit's all about.
It was kind of explained to us, like, taxes are confusing, right? And especially when you're going to buy that house and how they're prorated, backdated and everything. So, that was my kind of explanation to him is, I know this is confusing, all right, but trust me, you're not getting double taxed, Nope. I mean, we are getting double taxed. We're getting triple, four or five time tax, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day.
A whole other episode.
American politics, but we have another Tea Party. Where was that at?
Boston.
Was it Boston? Yeah, the Boston Tea Party. There you go.
A few hundred years ago.
We're getting on history now. So, anyways. So, should we take a break?
Hey, whatever you want to do.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the #1 real estate podcast in the Canton area. You know who it is. It's Brian Winkler and Ethan Rebuck, and we are bringing you some more before we leave off today. Brian, let's talk about the year ahead and what we think is going to happen. I know we have talked about possibly having an emergency episode pop out here before the next one in 2 weeks. So what do you think is going to happen?
With our industry?
We got a lot of different things changes. The government's changing. Yeah. Well, let me get you in trouble with some relatives or something. But
that's all right. I think they all know how I feel about most of that. Because we're supposed to be back here after the inauguration, right?
Correct.
So we're not going to see each other till
the 22nd is, I believe.
Yeah, right. Which is 2 weeks. So the 20th is when it's.
But then it'll be posted after that, so it'll be like even longer.
So I hope not, but we're going to see some weird things we've probably never seen before between now and the 20th. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe we do buy Greenland. I don't know. Something goofy is going to happen. So we may have a emergency episode before that, and so we'll find out. So I hope not. I hope everything goes well, and it's great. But I just have this sneaking suspicion that the what are they called? Anyway, something. We know something's going to happen. We just don't know what it's going to be, and I forget what that's called off the top of my head. But I think something like that's going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to be a horrible thing, but black swan event. That's what.
Black swan event. There you go.
Let's hope not. But
people get passionate about politics. So, like through this election year, whatever side you sit on, I'm just tired of hearing about it. And over the last 4 years, we haven't heard about anything, so it's just kind of stale. And I honestly just hope that continues to happen, but we prosper in these years ahead. And so, it'd be interesting.
Really?
I'm just glad that the chaos is gone, at least for now. We'll see what happens.
There's just too many.
You know what we forgot to bring up?
What's that?
When we were talking about Trump and his new things, and don't let me get too on a tangent. But did you hear what he said to the Middle East?
Oh, is going to be hell to pay?
Yeah, he was just like,
And everybody's like, what do you mean by that?
dude, I got like my jacket on, I'm like suited, ready to go, boots strapped, and I'm like, are we going to the Middle East right now?
Well, we're already over there.
I know, yeah. We're in Jordan, but
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. He just had an hour and a half long press conference. Like, again, sorry to anybody who's a Joe Biden fan, but I think that's probably the total amount of for 4 years. I mean, he just stood there and took questions and off the cuff. Nothing was scripted. Nothing was, and he knows. Again, he's probably wrong on some things. I don't know, but to know enough to speak intelligently about all these different things, from the Middle East to Panama Canal to the economy to AI, like he's
old,
intelligent, or at least coherent responses off the cuff.
Yeah.
We haven't had a president like that in over 4 years. Like, if you ask Joe Biden what day it is, there's a good chance he has no idea. And that's unfortunate. I actually feel bad for the guy.
He's a lovable guy. He's like Jimmy Carter, which just passed.
Whatever he's.
But he's kind of like a grandpa, just like.
I think he's an old guy with dementia, and he's frustrated, and he gets angry, and that's what they do. That's just what happens. So
you can't be mad at him.
No, but somebody in his family should have said, "This, come on, this is not good." So I actually feel bad for him. I feel bad for Hillary too. Like, her whole goal in her entire life to become president, and she got this close, and I think that just eats at her. And to have something that's all you care about for she's got to be pushing 80 as well.
Yeah,
and it's not it sucks. I'm glad it never happened. I'm glad she never became president. But as a person, that's got to be awful. That's gonna be sad, man. No, thank you.
For everyone who wondered, we are now the Joe Rogan podcast. So expect no,
hell no.
But
you'll pay us the money that you.
I know, right? Holy, we both quit our stuff. But anyways, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure we will have some chaos off the cusp, but I am hoping, as we've talked about before, to have that stability, and then we can just keep working. And I don't care who's in office, as long as the markets are great.
Let us do our thing.
Let's do our thing.
That's it, man.
Deregulate.
Yep.
Don't deregulate too much on the loan part, because we need some of those regulations. But
we don't want 2000.
We don't want 2008. Yeah. But
no.
It'd be really interesting. So we don't know what's going to happen. We might have a special show. If not, then great. If we do, probably be good for clicks with what clicks we get. So other than that, we in the first episode, we had set out a giveaway for people and their engagement, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And so we have 4 $25 gift cards to give away, the choice of the person who wins. And so we have some comments, some subscribers that we're going to be throwing in this mix. So we're going to cut right to that right now. We will have the video that will play, and then we'll be announcing the names afterwards, okay? So everyone stay tuned for the winners of that, and keep up the engagement, because you never know when we just pop in there and get you a gift card. Maybe you'll get some Starbucks for that day. So
bad political takes as well.
Yes. We are the Joe Rogan podcast. No, not trademark.
Number 1.
No one loves a wheel more than me and Brian love a wheel. And so we have thrown all of you contestants up on a wheel of fortune of some sort. And we have 4 gift cards to give away. So we are going to cut right over to that. All right. The first winner. Drum roll. Sydney Gritch. I hope I said that right. Sydney Gritch.
Congratulations.
You have won. All right. And the second winner. Congratulations to Stephanie. Stephanie, you have won you need to reach out to us and claim your gift card.
Congratulations.
Come on. And who's it going to be? Ryan, SP4JN. You have won a gift card to GameStop or Walmart or Walgreens or McDonald's or wherever.
Whatever you want.
And Jill Golden by a hair has won the final gift card. So congratulations, guys. As I said before, you just need to like, comment, and boost that engagement, and maybe we'll just pop in and give you a gift card from time to time, because nothing better than, us real estate agents and loan officers than giving away stuff. I see it all the time.
That's what we do.
I know. It's the way of our life. All right, everybody. It is that time of the day, that time of the show where we close it out, and I know it is a sad one. We will miss you. I know you'll miss us. Before the next episode, me and Brian asked, if you have any questions, please leave them below. This, I'm sure, will be made into a Facebook, TikTok, Instagram video. And what I'm pleading to our sphere of influence out there is to give us something to talk about. All right. You hear us rambling.
Give us some topics.
Yeah. You hear us rambling. All right. And we can't talk about politics all day. So we need something. Anyways, we will see you again on the next podcast for the Keys and Credit podcast. That sounded crazy, but see you.
See you.